Hey guys, this week we are going to be practicing reading and writing decimals in different forms. These forms are word form, standard form, and expanded form. So we're going to use those three ways for our homework, okay? And in the first section of the homework, it says express as decimal numerals. It says the first one is done for you. So if you look at A, it says 4 thousandths, and that's how we would read the number to the right of that. So instead of saying 0.004, we see that the 4 is in the thousandths place. So we would only call that number 4 thousandths. Okay, so for example, if we have B, let's work this one. It says 24 thousandths. So if we have 24 thousandths, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and show you what that would look like. So the reason why we would write 24 thousandths like this is because whenever we read the word form of that number, whichever word is at the end, that's going to be the place value of our last digit. So in the first one, it says 4 thousandths. So there's a 4 in the thousandths place, right? So if we have 24 thousandths, we know that our last digit is going to be in the thousandths place, but we have 24. So the 2 is actually going to go in the hundredths place to make it 24 thousandths, because 2 hundredths plus 4 thousandths is the same as 24 thousandths. Okay, let's look at one more. Let's look at C. It says 1 and 324 thousandths. So our last digit is going to be in the thousandths place, right? Now it says 1 and 324 thousandths. So when it says 1 and, this should tell you, whenever you see the word and, this should show you that that is where the decimal is going to be, okay? And so to the left of the decimal, we have a whole number 1. Oh, that's ugly. I'll try that again. A whole number 1, okay? And then we have 324 thousandths. Okay, so let's go ahead and write this over here. We have a whole number 1. The decimal is our and, right? The and in the word form is where the decimal goes. So 1 and 324 thousandths. So that would be 324, and we end in the thousandths place. Now you guys can finish up D, E, F, G, and H. We're gonna move on to number 2. It says express each of the following values in word form. Okay, so now we have swapped it. Okay, so I'm gonna do B with you guys. I want you to do A and C on your own. Let's do B just so I can give you an example. So first of all, let's start with the whole number. What whole number is that? 11. And which word did we say represents the decimal? The word and, right? So we have 11 and what would we call this part? The decimal side. What do we call that? Do we say 0 tenths, 3 hundredths, and 7 thousandths? No, we wouldn't say that, right? We would say 37 thousandths. Okay, and you have to be very careful because you can't just say 11 and 37, right? You have to look at your very last digit, and whichever place value that's in, that's going to be your final word in the word form. Okay, so now we can look at it clearly. I'm going to erase a little bit, and now you can clearly see we have 11 and 37 thousandths. Okay, and we're going to have lots of practice with this in class too, so don't get overwhelmed by it. Just try your best on this, okay? Number 3, it says write the number on a place value chart and then write it in expanded form using fractions or decimals to express the decimal place value units. The first one is done for you. So let's look at A as an example. The number is 35 and 827 thousandths. Okay, 35 and 827 thousandths. And they take that number and place it into the place value chart, right? Each digit goes into its place. Okay, so we have 3 tens, 5 ones, 8 tenths, 2 hundredths, and 7 thousandths, right? So now let's look below this and see how they wrote it in expanded form. There are 2 ways because we see this or here. There is the first way, here is the second way, okay? Don't let it confuse you. We're going to talk about it, okay? So there's 2 ways that we can write this in expanded form. One is dealing with fractions, but look at the fractions. What are they? 1/10, 1/100th, and 1,000th. Okay, they are not going to be difficult fractions to deal with, okay? And if you also notice in the bottom, or in the second way, they have 1/10, 100th, 1,000th, okay? And what do we notice about that? Like, how are these decimals related to these fractions? They are the same. 1/10, or 1 over 10, is the same as 1/10. 1 over 100 is the same as 100. 1 over 1,000 is the same as, 1,000. Okay, so they are the same. Now that we understand the fractions and the decimals that are in these two expanded form ways, let's talk about expanded form really quickly. So if I have the number 321, okay, and I want to put that in expanded form, or write that in expanded form, I'm going to do 300 plus 20 plus 1. That's my expanded form. Every place value is represented on its own. The hundreds place, the tens place, the ones place, right? We must do the same thing whenever it comes to decimals. So to start, we have a 3 in the tens place, so we're going to do 3 times 10, right? 3 times 10 is 30, so we know that we have a 30 right there, okay? And then we have a plus sign. That means we're going to add all of these place values together, just like we had 300 plus 20 plus 1. And all of these plus signs are going to be written after we've found each place value. So what I do whenever I write expanded form, I like to put my multiplication in parentheses. That way I know that first I'm multiplying before I do anything else, right? And then I would add them all together. So I'm going to start with the 3 that's in the tens place. So I'm going to do 3 times 10 to begin, and that's a 30, right? 3 in the tens place is a 30. 5 times 1, because there is a 5 in the ones place, and that would be 5. And then I would have 8 times 1/10, right? Because there is an 8 in the tenths place. So that's going to be 8/10. 2 times 100th, because there's a 2 in the hundredths place. So that would end up being 0.02, which is 2/100ths. And then finally, I have 7 times 1,000th. 1 over 1,000 is the same as 1,000. So I have a 7 in the thousandths place. That's going to be 0.007, 7,000ths. Okay, and then I can come back and add in my plus signs, because then I would add it all up, and that would end up being what? 35 and 827 thousandths. I'm going to use blue for the bottom one, and I'm going to do the same thing. 3 times 10 is 30. 5 times 1 is 5. 8 times 1/10 is going to be 8/10. 2 times 100th is going to be 200ths. And then 7 times 1,000th is going to be 7,000ths. And I would bring my plus signs back in. When I add that together, I end up with the same answer of 35 and 827 thousandths. Okay, so that's how you take the standard form and write it into expanded form. Okay, and then we also just took the expanded form and brought it back into the standard form so that we could check our answer. Okay, so standard form, always remember it's the normal way that we would write the number down. Okay, before we end the video, let's look at the back side. So you guys are going to do B and C on your own. And then 4 says write a decimal for each of the following. Use a place value chart to help if necessary. So when we are changing expanded form into decimal form, or standard form, which is really what this is asking for, is standard form, we do the same thing that we just did a minute ago. I like to put parentheses around my multiplication so that I do not get confused and add before I finish multiplying. So I'm going to go through and add in my parentheses to kind of separate each multiplication problem, and then I will add them all together. So if you look at A, it says 7 times 10. That means that there is a 7 in the tens place. So that number is going to really be 70, right? And then I look at the next one. 4 times 1 is a 4 in the ones place. Okay, and then 6 times 1 over 10, or 1/10, is 6/10. 9 times 1/100th is going to be 9/100ths. And then finally we have 2 times 1,000th, which is going to be 2,000ths. I'm going to go back in and add my plus signs. And I know to add, so I'm going to do 7 in the tens place, a 4 in the ones place. My decimal comes next because I have a 6 in the tenth place. So 6, a 9 in the hundredth, and a 7 in the thousandth place. So now my standard form number is going to be 74 and 697 thousandths. You guys are actually going to skip number 5. So you can go ahead and mark that one out if you've not already done it. And that's it for this week, guys. We have standard form on number 1 and word form on number 1. So we have standard and word form for Monday, okay? And you guys can work on these whatever day you want to, okay? If you want to knock it all out in one day, that's fine. But I chose Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday so that I know you guys, some of us go to church, and so we don't really want homework on Wednesdays, and I totally get that. So you guys you don't have to do Monday's work on Monday. You don't have to do Tuesdays on Tuesday. You can do this throughout the week, but it is due on Friday on the 20th, okay? Don't forget that. Thank you guys for watching the video, and to get your dojo point for this week, I want you to write down on a sheet of paper, just write down Iron Man, and you can write your name on the paper, okay? We want to make sure you get credit for watching this video, and whenever you do that, you can hand it to me or you can hand it to your teacher, and they will know to give you a dojo point. You guys are awesome. Keep up the hard work. Remember to, if you need to, keep watching this video over and over. You can. Always ask your teacher for help. If you have any questions at all, please ask them. Don't just hold them to yourself. Give it your best and never, ever, ever give up. I hope you guys have an awesome week.